Streaming cyberspace into your place. Sponsored by Gargamel's Kitchen from South Boston Speedway. It's the Virtual Grip Network's Round 10 coverage of the Bootleg Racing League's Late Model Invitational Series, Season 21. Correction, Season 22. Happy National Black Cow Day, everyone, as BGN recognizes the beverage better known as the root beer float. And the driver floating at the top of this season's points is Jeffrey Harden. Now, Frank J. Wisner of Cripple Creek, Colorado, gets credited for inventing the black cow on a warm August night some 130 years ago. It was almost that long since Jeffrey Harden had won a late model event. That is, until last round at Hickory, where he stretched his point lead to 24 markers. Popularized in the Steely Dan song, A Black Cow has many possible lyrical interpretations: a troubled relationship, an ode to self-doubt, a commentary on nightlife, references to Hindu culture, or Thelonious Monk. But there is only one meaning to Jeffrey Harden's championship campaign, and that is consistency. When making a black cow, first comes the ice cream, later comes the root beer. This season, first came the success of Aiden Young and Matt Hoos, later the wins from Michael Goodman. But with one race before him, the foam fizzes and the season fizzles. It's Jeffrey Harden who takes the sweetness. So pull the lever on the Lazy Boy, enjoy the black cow, and settle in for some simulated short track action soon to be coming your way. From Old Dominion, hello and welcome on this Saturday night, June 10th, 2023. 16-time late model champion J.R. Shepherd joins yours truly, Bill Soups on, high up in the BGN broadcast booth to bring you our words, eye view, replay Ryan Seneker, turning the knobs and pushing the sliders. Now, most ice racers know South Boston, but the average race fan may not. Nobody, and I mean nobody, knows these short tracks better than my partner tonight, J.R. Shepherd. J.R., how is this car track combo going to race tonight?
It's going to be extremely tight out there, Soup, especially early in this race. Unless we get a green flag run, these guys are going to be running nose to tail for the most part. This car, it has a ton of grip when you start racing here, but if you over-abuse those front tires early, you're going to have a long night on your hands. That right front is going to get wore out, and cars are going to start passing you very quickly. Another thing to note is also that outside line. It can be beneficial, especially if you're side-by-side with someone trying to make a pass, but you get too high into the marbles, and you will push up into the exit of the turn 4 or turn 2 wall, and that can ruin your night completely.
Wow, that is some great stuff. And if you want to see how it plays out, the only way you're able to do it is because of Gargamel's Kitchen. They're a high-quality food-grade nitrous oxide provider located in Denver, Colorado, and a proud sponsor of the Bootleg Racing League. Visit them at 2045 South Valencia Street or call Gargamel's Kitchen at 720-707-6178. And snap along with me, folks. Gargamel's Kitchen is the best. Everyone else is just the rest. All right, quickly, let's go ahead and look at the points. Really not much to talk about here. We have 31 drivers who've raced at least once this season. Jeffrey Harden sits at the top by a whopping margin, and I think only if lightning strikes will he lose the championship. Joe Segala and Joseph Snyder flip spots. We'll talk a little bit about Joe Snyder here in a minute. He's going to be our spotlighted driver. Michael Goodman has 3 wins so far this season. Donnie Moore is our big mover this week, up 3 positions. Lowell Jewell will go ahead and go up 1. Now, Matt Hoos drops 2. That's because he missed last round, but it's really not his fault. He was sitting next to me calling the race for you all. So Matt sits in 7th right now. Bruce Pearson 1 behind him. Mike Holloway was having a great season early on, but of late has been fading. And welcome to the top 10. First time this season, first time ever, the chief, former police chief from Plains City, Ohio. It is none other than Stephen Hilbert. Welcome there. All right, there's your top 10. Of course, there are 21 other drivers that we didn't talk about. They're a little farther down the list. With that said, practice is out of the way. So, JR, let's go ahead and call the grid here. I'll take the first row. You take row 2. All right, up on front. Now, this is inverted from last round. Sitting on pole. It is going to be the chief. Hey, hey, hey. He's going to be inside of Joe Snyder.
Yeah, starting in row 2, starting 3rd is Lowell Jewell. Alongside him in 4th place will be Bruce Pearson.
Donnie Moore and Michael Goodman fill up row 3.
Row 4, we got John Wilson and Joe Segala.
In the petty blue number 31, it is Matt Shanowski. He's going to be inside of Adam Shane.
Yeah, starting 11th is Jeffrey Harden. Alongside him in 12th will be Kurt Smith.
Mike Holloway hoping to end his slump in the Baker Sutton spot. Todd Liston answering the bell in 14th.
Yeah, starting in 15th, we have Matt Hoos. Alongside him in 16th will be Kevin Nunn.
Mike Allen and Chris Davis, the final two drivers. Quickly, JR, our spotlighted driver, is Joe Snyder. He sits out inside of row 1, or outside of row 1. 6.5 is the over-under. Bet the under if you think 6 or better, 7 or worse for the over. What do you think?
I think he's going to be moving forward, so we'll see what happens tonight.
JR takes the under. Chug-a-lug, makes you want to holler, ha-da-ho! And it is Steve Hilbert. All right, the Chief is out in front of the number 52. How long can he stay out there? It looks like he's going to stay out there at least one lap, moving on the top side. We saw this work last night, JR. Here is Bruce Pearson. The outside can kind of work early, I guess, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Early in this race, it will be very good. Once these tires start to wear and we get some marbles on the track, that's going to become tougher and tougher to do.
It's Hilbert, our spotlighted driver, Joseph Snyder, who my partner J.R. Shepard says is going to finish well up front. He's followed by Lowell Jewell. Donnie Moore in that battle now for 4th. And look at the battle for 5th. That is Bruce Pearson on the outside trying to get underneath. This is a great driver late to the season, really competitive. The 75 of John Wilson.
Yeah, John Wilson's been very, very good. He's very patient, so he's not going to do anything crazy early, but he will be there toward the end of the race.
There's some more side-by-side a little back, but right now this is the best battle, and it continues now, I'm going to say, for at least 3 laps. Pearson on the outside, Wilson on the inside, and JR really capped it there. The way I think that Wilson races is a very, very consistent, smooth, trustworthy driver, and he continues to show that, JR, as they stay side-by-side still.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of respect being shown here. You know, short track racing's really tight, really tough, but these guys are showing each other a lot of respect, not doing anything too crazy or moving into each other through the corner.
Is there advantage tire-wise to being on the top or the bottom, or are they both hurting themselves?
I like the bottom. I think that top side will just overheat those front tires, especially that right front. And we know in these late models, once you get those tires hot, they really start to wear, and the right front will go away really quick.
Well, Pearson is probably thinking, gee, I've invested so much rubber in trying to get to 5th position. I hate to give it up. He finally surrenders Casper and tucks into 6th. That'll give us an opportunity to drop back, well back. Let's look at the 21 of Matt Hoos. He's on the inside. Working on the outside is Todd Liston. This is probably the only side-by-side battle out there right now.
Yeah, and Matt's going to be moving forward for sure. He's having to start in the back because he wasn't here last week, obviously up in the broadcast booth. So Matt's one of those guys also, though. He's really fast, but he's going to conserve those front tires. So we're not going to see anything really crazy out of him. He's just going to take passes as he can get them.
Passing at such a premium here at this track, and oh my God, drifting really high and almost losing it was the 87 of Todd Liston. He's going to have to tuck in and settle for 15th position. With that said, let's talk about our spotlighted driver. He is Joe Snyder. Doesn't have a win so far this season. Nickname, well, there's a plenty of them. The Butcher of Baton Rouge, Ribeye Joe. Right now racing in 2nd place. Just kind of stalking Steve Hilbert. And my goodness, let's go ahead and give our leader some camera time. Steve Hilbert, a notorious back marker, racing back there, having a great season. JR, one of the things I like about covering a series race after race after race, you can see a guy improve. And Steve Hilbert doing a good job right now.
Yeah, absolutely he is. So, you know, obviously started from the lead, but he's been able to maintain that lead. That is not something easy to do in this series. And I can tell you, if you're wanting to improve your driver skill set, you need to come to a series like the Bootleg Racing League, because there are so many different drivers in here, so many different driving styles, but also extremely great drivers that you can learn a lot from, and Steve has done that.
So there he is. Now the question is, he's keeping the cars behind him. Yes, we got drivers like the front runners that can race fast but still be smooth. You have to wonder if Steve's giving it everything he's got right now to be turning these lap times.
Yeah, that's something that we're going to have to pay attention to. It's early right now, only lap 16. Usually you'll start to see the tire wear come in around lap 25, lap 33, somewhere around there, about a third of the way through the race is when you'll start to see guys start moving back that have wore out those front tires.
will stay on the lead. You can see that the Chief right now having a hard time keeping the car down. He gets it good through 3 and 4. Let's look and see how 1 and 2 is right there. Minding his time back there is the Butcher of Baton Rouge. Single file all the way through. The leader's not pulling away.
No, he's definitely not, but the one thing I do like is that he is arcing his car in. He's got a little bit of distance back to the second place driver, so he can do that. That's going to help his tires a little bit. Right now I can see Joe Snyder, he's really pushing hard on corner exit at least, and he's getting a little bit loose, going to heat up the rear tires.
Snyder will admit it himself that saving the tires is not his forte. Boy, you can see the defensive line that Hilbert took that time going into 1. And there's a little bit of a hello from Snyder.
It was a little bit close, and yeah, definitely he kind of snookered him there a little bit, looked to the inside, and that caused Steve to move up the track. That's going to give the inside line to Joseph Snyder going into turn 1.
The good news for Hilbert is he led 20 laps. The bad news is they are lined up 16 cars deep behind him now, and the train is a-coming. Now, here's the problem with the driver that's a little bit uncomfortable out there. JR, sometimes racing the preferred line is easy. When they put you in a line you don't like, that's where it gets a little harder for guys that don't quite have the talent as the rest of us.
Absolutely, and the best advice I can give is you have to be patient in those situations. The car's going to handle completely different. You're going to have to drive it differently. And the biggest thing that I'm seeing, we see him get into the wall, corner exit there a little bit. There is a lot of rubber being marbled up onto this racetrack, so that's going to make that outside groove even tougher. You're going to have to be more patient getting back to that throttle.
So you see, give a tip of the hat to Hilbert now. He's fallen back into 6th position. Doing a good job. They are coming. This just goes to show you what would happen. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't care if it's Hilbert. It could have been a driver that we see racing up front more often. The train was so piled up behind him that I don't know if anybody could have found a line in there, and Hilbert continues to drop.
And that's the one thing when you have the leader of the race, when you see cars lined up right behind, there's one of two things that are happening. Either he's saving his tires and everybody's just riding behind, or he's kind of holding up that line just a little bit. So once he gets out of line, if he is indeed holding them up, that inside line is just going to keep driving by.
All right, let's leave Hilbert. Looks like he's going to safely tuck into the caboose of the train. Let's go up to our leader, Snyder, because we got something interesting happening here. This is a legitimate pace lapping going on here as Chris Davis is turning lap times, well, of about 15.3 in practice. It's not so bad in practice, but boy, he's being run down right now by Snyder.
Yeah, so my guess is, based on what we're seeing out of Chris Davis, he's probably trying to save his tires. The problem with that is that he saved too much, and now he's got the leader right on his tail, so he's probably going to be able to hold this leader off, but he's lost a ton of ground to the rest of the field, so he's going to need a caution really early to try to make this back up.
This is an interesting strategy because the pace he ran, if he was legitimately saving his tires, well, he's got way fresher tires than everybody else. And now he can just kind of play it like he's in the lead and keep the leader behind him as long as he doesn't go 1 lap down. And, well, honestly, even if he did go 1 lap down, they have the lucky dog here. So this is an interesting strategy. Of course, he'll need a yellow for it to work.
Yeah, absolutely. He can go that lap down. The only thing he's going to have to watch out for is if the leader starts to catch someone else to put them a lap down, because that's when he'll get in trouble. May have a hard time getting that lap back.
I'm going to call for a shot. Director, can we go like a blimp shot or above so we can see how the cars are stretched out and the viewers can see that they are all single file? There's a bit of a pile up back at Bruce Pearson, back at the 22, racing in 5th position. But everyone's single file right now. Love that shot. Thank you.
Yeah, and Soup, it's a little bit surprising here at South Boston. Normally we do get long green flag runs at some point, but usually there's a lot of cautions early in the race just because the fields are so close together. And we have a big field here tonight with at least 18 cars in it. So I'm really surprised that we are now on lap 34 and haven't seen any major accidents.
All right, we're going to leave that battle for being lapped. Go back to Pearson right now. Uh-oh, Bruce went a little high. He was in 5th position, and he was holding up the train. Now going underneath him, that's the 81 of Segala, and the same thing could happen to Pearson that happened to the Chief early. But look at the drive from the 22 off of 3, keeping Segala underneath him. Now Segala dives it deep. You got to be careful because Segala is a magnet for incident points. It's not always his fault, but it happens. They're side by side right now. 22 on top, 81 down below.
Bruce is doing a nice job through turns 1 and 2. It's a very tight corner, and he's taking a nice line in there, but he's getting a little bit too high through 3 and 4, and he's losing a lot of ground. Looks like Joe Sakala is going to take that position.
There goes one. There goes the petty blue, number 31 of Matt Shinowski. Great to have Matt racing with us again. Next on the hit list is the 79, Adam Shane. Shane does a good job of getting the left side tires down on the yellow line to keep the car down there. Let's stay on this. Boy, they give themselves about a half a car width between them, and they're going to make it work.
Yeah, about a half a car width is all you can allow if you're that outside car. If you get any higher, the car is just going to get really tight. You're going to have to lift, and the driver on the inside is going to go right by you.
Pearson gives a little bit of a love tap to Shane, and now he's side by side with our points leader, Jeffrey Harden. Harden having a quiet run night tonight. Not sure if that's a new paint scheme for Jeffrey. We might have to talk to Brandy to find out. It looks like a dark blue with, man, that's majestic as that car. Purple and black. Well, I see majestic. I knew it was purple. Didn't even know it. My senses felt it even though my eyes didn't. Kurt Smith gets by. Here comes the number 10 of Mike Holloway.
Yeah, and I want to throw in there, Soup, you talk about those paint schemes out there tonight. A lot of these drivers do their own paint schemes, and they change it up throughout the season. So there's a lot of talent, not only on the racetrack, but also in the paint booth.
All right, let's go to another side-by-side battle a little farther up. This is Adam Shane on the low side, the petty blue car of number 31 of Matt Shinowski. Now, Shinowski is going to lose that position there as they come around. He's trying to make that outside line work. They're a little closer this time. A little more momentum to the top side.
Yeah, so Matt ran the first 2 races tonight, and he understands how this track is evolving and how it is working. He even won the SK race. So, he actually gets tagged there and gets into the wall onto the front stretch. He's going to lose some position.
Yeah, well, you can understand how the track works all you want, but when you get hit from the back, everything changes. Okay, that's Kurt Smith going underneath him, and then a map will tuck down. Let's go ahead and go back up to our leader and our last place driver. There we go, Joseph Snyder, Chris Davis. I guess Snyder can continue to be patient as long as he's got about a 10-car length lead on Lowell Jewell.
Yeah, definitely. So we talk about these cars, they really wear the tires out, especially after the first third of the race to the halfway mark. That's when you'll start to feel the front tires going. So you want to take care of them early. And when you've got a lead like Joe Snyder, there's no reason to really push and try to put Chris Davis here a lap down. You just need to be maintaining that gap that you have back to second place.
Let's go to the 79. Here we go. We're going to look at Shane. Adam Shane trying his best to get around Joe Segala. He was looking at the top side, gave that up. Now he gave Segala a little bit of a bump. I think Shane would like to get up there and maybe see what he has for John Wilson. But he can't get around the 81 right now.
And it's tough, Soup. You know, this track is really, really tough to pass that. And no, it's not impossible. You can do it, but you really have to work the driver over and see where you're better than the car in front of you. It looks like he's going to make that peak down to the inside, but Joe Segala is going to have the run on the top side on exit.
You know, from a race fan and from a commentator's point of view, sometimes these tracks that are harder to pass, it makes the passes all the more important right this. We've only probably seen 7 or 8 passes on track right now. And look at this one as finally Shane gets underneath Segala. And this is going to be so important because now this is an opportunity for all the guys behind Shane to pick up a spot that they couldn't get. And that includes Harden's going to try to tuck in there, Kurt Smith, they're going to try to bring along Shinowski.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct, Soup. So if you see the car in front of you trying to make a pass, once he gets to the inside, you have got to be close on his tail and follow him through, because that's the easiest way to pass somebody is when the car in front of you does all the work.
Yeah, Adam Shane kicks the door open, and everybody else is coming through as well. You know, though, JR, I got to give it to this track. I know you guys don't like to race on it. But the outside line, at least you can see Segala putting up a fight here compared to other tracks where he'd be a sitting duck.
No, absolutely. You can make that outside work, but you normally have to get it done fairly early, and you have to hope that the driver on the inside is going to give you some respect, because if they move up and push you higher into those marbles, you're just going to be sitting there. The car is behind you. You're just going to get to the inside and go right by you.
Just so frustrating for Segala because he has the pace, but there's just not a hole. And Shanowski is a veteran. He knows that he's going to tuck that third one right up there behind the 6. JR, safe to say that 2 cars do not race as fast side by side as 1 car does?
Absolutely. So these cars are typically a little bit on the tight side, especially through the center of the corner. So when you're side by side, the inside line is normally preferred, but you cannot run all the way out against the wall when you have a car on your outside. So you're slowing yourself down, and that outside line is just a little bit slower anyway when you run the outside line predominantly. So yeah, you're slowing each other down by being side by side. I think now that Kurt's going to clear here, you'll see Kurt close right back up on Jeffrey Harden.
Hate to leave this battle, but we got big news up front. You won't see it on the tower because it wasn't a pass for a position. But Joseph Snyder got around Chris Davis. And now Snyder has a huge advantage back to Lowell Jewell. Let's look at this battle for second for a while. This is Lowell Jewell being hounded by Donnie Moore and the newcomer John Wilson.
John's doing a fantastic job. I mean, I've raced with John quite a bit, and like we talked about earlier, he's very consistent. He's a very clean driver, and you can see what it's paying off for him in this series where the tires wear out. He has taken his time, and now he's closing right up on second and third place. It would not surprise me, guys, before the end of this race if he's not ahead of these 2.
We have gone, now 61 laps, all under green. Lowell Jewell, Donnie Moore, and John Wilson, who's back there waiting. What John needs is to get the job done on Jewell and Moore and then hope for a yellow. And then he can go racing with Joe Snyder, our spotlighted driver. Simon and Poindexter put the over-under at 6.5. My partner, 16-time champion, was wise enough to take the under, and Joe Snyder is out in front right now.
Yeah, he is. He's definitely taking control of this race, and he's continuing to open that gap up. Almost a 3-second lead right now, and with a green flag race like that, that is what you want. So he's just hoping that this thing stays green at this point.
Let's go ahead and check back in on the continuing story of Joe Segala and the top side. He continues to race up there. Sanowski got underneath him. But now, side by side, they do not have the pace to stay up with Kurt Smith as they lose touch with him. The 21 of Matt Hoos would like to get in ahead of Segala as soon as Holloway takes care of business, or Shanowski takes care of business, but you can't do that. Holloway back in the popcorn position, Segala in the wall. Oh no, and then we got the low car, the lap car, that is of Todd Liston. Whew, that almost really caused a kerfuffle.
Yeah, that could have gotten retired really quick. They were right on board with Matt Hoos. He's typically a driver that takes care of his tires, and I got to think that he's been, minding his P's and Q's and just trying to slowly work his way through, expecting a caution at some point and to have a tire advantage. But this race has so far been green flag, so I'm expecting to see him start to go here with only about 30 to go.
Let's go back up to our leader for a minute as we look at that side-by-side battle. I'm going to jump you up here, because now Snyder is in lap traffic. He's putting these guys a lap down. Mike Allen, what is interesting, for a while, Chris Davis was right behind Snyder, and he was kind of following Snyder through. And each time Snyder got through, it was for position, but now Snyder has kind of lost pace. I'm sorry, Davis has lost pace with Snyder. Man, JR, you rarely see somebody what is called stinking up the show, and that's what Joe Snyder is doing right now.
He absolutely is. We just have to wonder how much front tire he is using up. The thing is, he doesn't have anybody pressuring him from behind, so he can run whatever line he wants. Hopefully he's taking care of those tires, and late in this race it doesn't show up that he's abused them. But as we look on the screen there, we see John Wilson just ahead of this. The one thing I wanted to point out I really like that he's doing, he is coming out of these corners very low on corner exit. That is saving his tires. We see a lot of these guys really pushing up, having to put a lot of wheel in it on a late corner exit. He's not doing that, so he's taking very good care of his tires, and I think he's going to start to work Donnie Moore over in a few laps.
For the first probably 65 laps, it was Lowell Jewell who was following Snyder. Well, finally Donnie Moore got under him, and then the same thing happened to Jewell that has happened to all the other guys that got stuck on the top side. He got freight trained, and so Lowell Jewell finally, where does he settle into? My goodness, he's all the way back into 7th position. Working lap number 72. So much to track. We'll try to watch the battles in the middle of the pack Well, we watched the leader try to negotiate lap traffic. Let's go to the leader right now, see what he does on Kevin Nunn. And Snyder will have none of it. Makes quick work of Kevin.
Yeah, and Joseph here, he was probably just riding earlier when he was behind Chris Davis. There was no reason to really go, but once he saw that he was catching more lap traffic, he knew that he needed to start making passes and putting that lap traffic between him and second place. That gives him an even larger advantage in case something weird happens toward the end of this race. Maybe his right front starts to go away.
Well, there's going to be well, you never know. I was going to say there's no way for Donnie Moore to make up a 5-second gap in 25 laps, but we've seen stranger thing happens. JR, when the tires do go away, gaps can close up quick.
Very quick, and there's very little alarm to let you know that that right front is going away. The car will handle the same way that it pretty much has throughout the race. Lap times in these late models, they do not fall off very much until that right front goes away, and then you know it for sure because the car handles completely different. It absolutely will not turn.
Look at Adam Shane trying to make the top side work. He's coming up there. He's got Donnie Moore in front of him, side by side now with John Wilson. And honestly, I think Shane might have the momentum here, the pace, as he's going to be able to get in front of Wilson. And now he's blocked by Moore. Well, that's not what he was expecting.
Yeah, Donnie's pretty wily. He knows what's going on behind him, and he's going to move up to try to take that line away. But I'm afraid that that's just going to slow him down and allow John to get the pass there.
I think Donnie Moore cooked his own goose there as he tried to slow down Shane. He left the door open, and John Wilson tucks underneath. Wilson, who was in jeopardy to losing that spot to Shane, now moves up into second. Shane is really struggling. He goes to the back of the pack. Donnie Moore dropping like a pigeon. Great racing going on. All of this 6.5 seconds behind the butcher from Baton Rouge. Ribeye Joe Snyder.
And you know, the one thing, so these drivers have been green flagged for 82 laps. It does take an effect on you mentally to try to stay on top of your game and be aware of everything going on around you and to not make mistakes. So we're starting to see a few mistakes happen here and there, and other drivers are capitalizing on it.
You know, usually when I talk about movers and droppers, it has a lot to do with attrition. Very little attrition tonight, so let's give some love to car number 21, Matt Hoos. He is at 8 positions. And because there's been a little position, he's done it all on himself. Look at the line that Hoos takes down low, getting almost the right sides under the yellow. And now he's going to work on it, and he's going to pick off Donnie Moore.
Now, we talked about these cars being really tight through the center of the corners at times, but if you do what Hoos did there and drop your left sides down on the apron, it will help the car rotate. He's smart enough to know that, and he just used it.
That was fun to watch. 15 to go. Round number 10, and the laps are clicking by. The race is clicking by. I'm late for an important date, says John Snyder. My goodness, he just lapped Lowell Jewell. 11 cars on the lead lap now.
Yeah, now he has clean racetrack in front of him, only about 13 laps to go. He is in a great position here. Almost a 6-second lead.
It was only 15, maybe 20 laps ago. Lowell Jewell was just 5 seconds behind Joe Snyder. And now he goes a lap down and dropping.
Yeah, and Soup, that's probably because that right front tire went away. It goes away so quick and you lose so much lap time. It is not tenths of a second, it is seconds.
And you know, actually, JR, what Lowell Jewell's doing right now is bringing it down pit lane. We've seen drivers think it's almost undrivable sometimes that they have to come in, and there's no spare tires here in this event, so they almost have to call it a night.
Yeah, absolutely. The car just does not turn. You can put a ton of wheel in it, and it just goes straight in the corner, so it's very hard to stay out of the way when that happens.
So, folks, that's why you want to stick around, even though the lead is 6.2 seconds right now. Joe Snyder, it could go away from him at any second, and Wilson could run him down. Let's look at the battle for second. There's Wilson. There's our point leader, Jeffrey Harden. JR, I know you haven't been here much this season. You've taken Saturday off, but what Harden has done is so amazing. He has been so consistent, and he's doing it again. Just a quiet podium.
Yeah, and that's the name of the game, being consistent throughout the entire season and capitalizing on the misfortunes of other drivers. Jeffrey's done that through this season, and with a lead like 24 points that he has, he does not need to press the issue, at least not until the last race when he feels more comfortable and there's not enough points to be lost. He just needs to take care of his stuff and try to get this podium tonight.
He made a joke about it early on in the season. He said, Soup, I'm going to try to podium my way to a championship. He kind of screwed that plan up by winning last week, but nevertheless, having a great season. Oh, look what's happening. He is here. Here comes the big mover. Matt Hoos is in the game. Now working on the back of the 79 of Adam Shane. Look at Hoos get those left sides under the yellow. He is fun to watch race.
Absolutely. He's using the entire track to his advantage, and we talked about it. He's good at saving tires, and he was expecting some cautions to get this ground made up. It just did not happen, so I'm assuming that he has a lot more right front tire than what the rest of these drivers do.
I said left sides. I meant left and right sides. Great racing going on. We're going to stay here. We will not miss the leader as he crosses the finish line. He is so far out in front. We'll watch him in a minute. But right now, Hoos is the show. Now that's Davis, who's a lap down. He's going to work on it. It's going to be a while till Hoos gets somewhere. He's going to go under Davis. He thinks he still has time. For Kurt Smith, he could get Smith. Might have room for Hart, and Hartman won't put up too much of a fight because he's in the championship hunt. We'll see how far Hoos can go. Nice going, partner. I like what I'm seeing.
Yeah, continuing to catch these drivers, it just shows how much more tire he has at the moment and how much he can push that car toward the end of the race when the other drivers are having to be conservative and save that right front.
2 to go for Ribeye Joe. John Wilson comfortably in second. The real battle is back here for third. Can Harden hang on? I don't know if Hoos has enough to get around Smith. We'll watch that if we can. In fact, we'll jump back to it as soon as we watch the leader cross the line. He is on the white flag lap right now, going into 3, coming out of 4. We'll stay on it, and then we're going to go back to Smith to see how it plays out. Your winner for round number 10, Joseph Snyder. Let's jump back to Smith. Smith is in the battle. It looks like it's going to be Harden, Smith, and try as he might, Hoos will have to settle for 5th. In between that battle and the leader was John Wilson, who gets 2nd. Woo, my. Green flag all the way, folks. They said it couldn't be done, but you saw it right here. Sasquatch, Nessie, the Loch Ness Monster, and a green flag run on a bootleg racing event. We're going to take a short break. Don't go far. We're going to come back, run down the finishing order, talk to some of the drivers before we put a lock on the gate.
Chuckles. I'm in danger. 250 can possibly go to the outside. He does go to the outside of Ricky Harden. Tries a slide draft him. Harden goes up the track. Now back down to the bottom. Gets a huge push from Tommy Ryan at the start finish. It's going to be Thomas George.
Running the high line, trying to make that
got
pass.
loose off turn 4.
In the grass goes the 6 car, and they were side by side, 2 by 2 here.
Scott Eckler winning the last race of the season and the championship.
Jeff Ford definitely getting the championship for season 2.
Give it up for Thomas George, winning the race in the championship. George overshoots the corner. Scott puts that car just where he needs to on the middle. It's going to be a drag race through the kick.
streaming cyberspace into your place. Sponsored by Gargamel's Kitchen. From Five Flags Speedway, it's the Virtual Grip Network's final round coverage of the Bootleg Racing League's late model series. From Pensacola on this Saturday night, John Hine, along with yours truly, Bill Stoops, on high up in the broadcast booth to bring you our words eye view. We play Ryan Seneca, turning the knobs and pushing the sliders. Chug-a-lug, chug-a-lug, makes you want to holler, hi-da-ho! Welcome back to South Boston Speedway and VGN's Round 10 coverage of the Bootleg Racing League's late model series. The results are in. Let's give them to you now. He started in second position. He was able to get the pass made on Steve Hilbert for the lead, and then he held it for the next 80 laps and really dominated this race. We're talking about the Butcher of Baton Rouge, Ribeye Joe Snyder. Congratulations. He picks up his first win of the season. John Wilson comes from second, picks up all those passes made on the track without attrition, and will get second position. A very impressive run from him. Watch out for him next season. He could be a championship contender. Talking about a championship contender, how about Jeffrey Harden coming off a win last week? Well, he gets another podium here tonight. We're going to get to talk to him in a few minutes. Kurt Smith and Matt Hoos go fourth and fifth, and my goodness, the Hoos was loose at the end. He was coming. If there was a yellow flag, he might have had something to say for Joe Snyder. Adam Shane, Joe Segala, Michael Goodman, we didn't hear much from him. He'll go ninth, and Matt Shanowski round out your top 10. JR?
Yeah, coming home in 11th place. First car lap down will be Donnie Moore. Finishing 12th tonight will be Chris Davis. 13th will go to Mike Allen. And then after that, we've got drivers that started to retire in this race. 14th, Low Joel. I've heard that he blew a right front tire in this race late. 15th place is Kevin Nunn. 16th place will go to Stephen Hilbert, the guy that started from pole tonight. Having a little bit of a rough ending. Bruce Pearson, he'll come home in 17th. And rounding out our field tonight will be Todd Liston, finishing 18th.
Even though Hilbert finished in 16th, let's give him a tip of the hat as he led 20 laps and was clean the whole way. Nice job, the Chief. All right, with that, we're going to get an opportunity to talk to our race winner, the Butcher of Baton Rouge, Ribeye Joe Snyder. Joe, congratulations on this one. My goodness, you stank up the show, baby.
Man, thanks a lot. I thought everybody disconnected.
How'd the car feel at the end? There were some guys behind you that I think saved a lot waiting for that yellow that never came. I have a hunch if that yellow came, you might have been in trouble, but man, you looked strong.
Well, I mean, I didn't see anybody behind me. I was just driving easy, just, trying not to use it up in case something like that happened. So the car felt great.
Let's take you to about the middle of the race, and all of a sudden, you come behind Chris Davis, you're about to lap down, and it looks like you just kind of settled in there for a while behind him.
Well, I kept checking my rear view, and I didn't want to put either one of us at risk, trying to make a risky pass. And I finally got around, and like I said, I thought everybody disconnected. That was the craziest race, man. I have to go watch it and see what happened.
I've talked to you before, and you've admitted that saving your tires is not your forte. You think maybe you're getting the hang of it now? You've been around for a while?
It just depends on the track and where I'm at. It's like sometimes I can save and sometimes I use them up. It's just situational for me.
Okay, we'll get you out of here on this one. 4th of July is coming up, and my woman asked me, she said, soup, honey, soup? What kind of cut of meat do we want? And I said, well, the Butcher of Baton Rouge, Ribeye Joe says, get a ribeye. Is that still my go-to steak for the 4th of July party?
Nah, man, for the 4th of July, you got to do hamburgers and hot dogs.
Oh, okay. Well, the pocketbook is going to like that one. All right, thanks, Joe. Congratulations on the win, man. We'll see you down the road.
Hey, man, thanks a lot. I love BRL, man. Best league on iRacing, I guarantee.
All right, thank you so much. Joe Snyder. All right, for all you out there worrying about your 4th of July menu, put the money away. Burgers and hot dogs. That's a lot cheaper than my ribeye. All right, JR, you able to get a catch up with John Wilson?
Yes, sir. Hey, John, congratulations, man, on that second place finish. I believe that's your first podium in the late models up here. You've not ran a lot this season, but talk about what this finish means, man. That's got to give you a lot of momentum.
Well, it sure does, JR. Thanks, buddy. My heart's still pounding. It's just awesome fun.
Hey, I want to talk you through some of this race early. You started back in 7th, and you didn't appear to be in much of a hurry, just kind of riding there, and then you were catching some drivers, and then you started to make some passes. I want to ask you, at this racetrack, South Boston, it's really hard to make a pass, even when you're faster than those guys. How hard is it to be patient, knowing you need to take care of those tires, but also ultimately get that pass made?
Oh, it's really hard. I was running around, I think, behind Donnie Moore and Lowell, and I felt like there were a couple of spots where I could have stuck my nose in, but thought better of it, and didn't want to wreck those guys, and just took my time and took the chance when it was there.
Absolutely. Hey, we talked about you being clean and very consistent on the racetrack. You showed that again here tonight. I do want to ask you, this race went green flag the entire time. Once you got into second place, were you kind of hoping a caution might come out so you have a shot at it, or were you just hoping it to stay green because that outside was a little treacherous?
Yeah, no, I didn't really think I had a shot at it. I think Joseph was far enough gone. So I was just hoping it would stay green and put on a good show for everybody watching.
Well, you definitely did that tonight, man. Congratulations on that run. And before I let you go, I'm going to let you have the floor since you got your first podium here.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Well, I want to, first of all, I got to thank Lowell for putting this on for us, because as you know, without him, there'd be no place for us to run, and for inviting me into this series. I got to thank you guys up in the booth, and of course, everybody that runs in the BRL. I think running with you guys makes guys faster by osmosis, if that's possible. And I just got to thank you guys for that. And of course, I got to thank my teammate, Chris Davis from Team CDR. He's been helping me a lot, and it's starting to show really good.
You did a fantastic job again tonight, John. Congratulations on that second place run, man.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Can you do me a favor and stay home from the tour mods next week?
We'll see what I can do. We'll work on that.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. Top point battle over on the tour mod side with John Wilson there, but Soup, I believe you've now caught up with our third place finisher.
JR, I think your competitors like you in the booth better than they do on the track. Let's go ahead and talk to Jeffrey Hart. My goodness, if you want to exemplify your season so far, Jeffrey, this race would do it. Clean, smooth podium. Well done.
Oh, thank you, Soup. I'm kind of getting addicted to talking to you on Saturdays.
It is nice. Hey, let's talk a little bit about your win last week. And we were kind of talking off camera here before we went broadcast, and we were saying, boy, it sure is nice that Jeffrey got that win. A championship is a championship, but it's got to be nice knowing you're in the grasp of getting one, and you got yourself a victory in the same season.
Yeah, I mean, it's always nice to have the victory to go along with the championship. Otherwise, it's kind of just a Mr. Consistency thing.
All right, let's go to the race. Did you have any thoughts of ever trying to make it work on the top side? We saw guys try to do it, and it ended up kind of backfiring on them. Did you just hug the line most of the race?
Yeah, I just tried to stay down in the yellow. These cars just are really, really tight up top, so it wears out that front real fast.
All right, we're going to get you out of here on something silly. I'm looking at your paint scheme right now. Is this a new paint scheme, this purple and dark black with the black pirate hat on the top? It's really nice.
Yeah, well, I ran the purple. It's Brandy's favorite color, and I couldn't think any good colors to go with it, so that's what I ended up with.
Oh, this one is black it's black. It's hard to read the numbers, but I know who it is because, man, it's a scary looking car out there with a pirate and it's a gold trim. Very nice looking car. It looks fast. I think it probably got you a few positions just from the paint scheme, so let's give it props as well. Hey, congratulations. Nice job, Jeff.
All right, thanks, Soup. Have a good weekend, man.
All right, Jeffrey Harden, our third place finisher, and I believe the man on the way to the championship. And with that, I'd like to go ahead and thank our sponsors. They're Gargamel's Kitchen, food-grade nitrous oxide provider located in Denver, Colorado. Now, Colorado is the same state that invented the black cow, so see how everything ties in on one of these BGN broadcasts. They're a proud sponsor of the Bootleg Racing League. You can visit their office at 2045 South Valencia Street or give them a call at 720-707-6178. If you like tonight's broadcast, well, you can see more of it at this very same time next week. It's right on the screen. 5 Flags. That's not an amusement park. That is indeed a speedway. It's going to be season 22, round 11, the season finale. That's going to be the same time here next week. But before then, it's the Pretty Good Racing League. That's a good one. And you know, the commentators are pretty good in that one too, mainly because I'm not part of the team. That's going to be at Sonoma. Oh my goodness, JR, can you announce a road racing? You know, they turn the other direction. You know how to do that?
I actually do. It's
Okay.
quite fun. So I look forward to seeing that one Tuesday.
My JR Shepherd, not only a great oval driver, a great road racer as well. Just got to give him a hard time. That's going to be Tuesday night, the 13th at 8:50 Eastern. Those broadcasts, as well as this one, will be and were a product of the Virtual Grip Network. With that said, we're going to say until next time, have fun storming the castle.